I secretly bought my dream home. A neighbor warned me, strangers inside. I checked the security cameras. My brother's family was celebrating. That's when I called the police. My name is Miles Clark, I'm 29 years old. And if you think you know how this story ends, just wait. What happens when the keys you've worked your whole life for are stolen before you even touch the door? The camera footage on my phone flickered. Balloons, laughter, clattering plates. My brother's kids running around on my polished hardwood floors. My sister-in-law holding a glass of wine like she owns the place. And my brother standing there, all smiles, raising a toast like this house is his kingdom. My kingdom. That house had been my silent obsession for years. The one with the ivy-clad stone. The one on the outskirts of town, where the lake shimmered at sunset. I'd worked double hours, sold my car, and lived on instant noodles for months to scrape together the down payment. No one knew I'd finalized the deal, not even my parents and certainly not my brother. Yet here they were, celebrating inside, as if my sacrifices and secrecy meant nothing. My chest tightened as their laughter grew louder on the screen. My neighbor hadn't exaggerated. They weren't just inside, they'd broken in, settled in, and claimed ownership. My hands trembling, my voice steady only with rage, I pressed the police call button. Yes, I'm Miles Clark. I own a house on Lakeshore Drive. There are trespassers inside. Do you know them? The receptionist asked. I glared at my brother's smug face on the screen. Yes, I whispered. I know them very well. As the call ended, an idea flashed through my mind. They thought I wouldn't find out the truth. They thought I wouldn't fight back, but this house bore my name. And tonight, the truth would come out too. The red and blue police lights lit up the driveway before I could even catch my breath. From my car across the street, I saw 2 police officers approaching the front door. Inside, through the light of my phone's camera, I saw movement. My sister-in-law hurried to hide the wine glasses. The children fell silent and went upstairs. Then my brother opened the door, wearing that familiar smile of his, the one he used when he thought his magic could erase the theft. Good evening, officers, he said calmly. Can I help you? They asked for proof of residence. He stammered, feigning innocence. This is family property. We've been here for years. Family property? My jaw tightened. I got out of the car, a file clutched in my hand. The deed, the mortgage papers, the sale papers, every signature, every dollar belonged to me. The night chill stung me as I walked down the hallway. My brother's smile vanished the moment he saw me. This is my house, I said, my voice cutting through the darkness. Not yours. Not ours. Mine. The officers looked between us. One took the file and began flipping through the certified documents. The other turned to my brother. Sir, unless you provide proof, you must leave. For the first time, I saw fear cross his face. He gripped the door frame so tightly that the knuckles turned white. My brother's wife appeared behind him, her voice sharp. This is ridiculous. She's lying. But the papers were irrefutable. The officer handed them back to me with a nod. Ma'am, you're the legal owner. Do you want them evicted? My brother stared into my eyes, as if daring me to humiliate him in front of his family, his neighbors, and the law. My chest ached, but my resolve only strengthened. Yes, I said, evict them. And so, silence fell over the house that had once resonated with their laughter, and the weight of the truth pressed down on me. But as their car drove off, I knew this was just the beginning. Because thieves don't give up easily, they plan. And my brother had just lost his crown. By morning, the fallout began. My parents called first, their voices sharp and accusatory. Miles, what have you done? You kicked your brother out like that? You made a scene in front of the neighbors? I almost laughed. What had I done? He'd broken into my house. He'd thrown a party in a house he hadn't bought, hadn't earned, and hadn't even known about until last night. But logic didn't work with them. To them, my brother was a treasure. I was just a disposable object. Later, I got a text. A barrage of blame from my sister-in-law. You've embarrassed us. The kids cried all night. You're going to regret this. Every line was guilt disguised as blame, but I didn't give in this time. I couldn't. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into the home security system. The footage flooded in. My brother sipping wine, bragging that he'd finally improved his life. The kids running around in rooms I hadn't even furnished yet. Evidence piling up. Each scene is further proof of the story's validity. That night, I drove home. The silence inside was sacred. My footsteps echoed on the polished wood. The walls smelled of fresh paint, untouched, unspoiled. Yet their presence lingered like smoke after a fire. Standing in the living room, I replayed a video on my phone. My brother raised a glass. To us. Finally, we're moving on with life. This wasn't just trespassing. It was pretense, posturing, and the erasure of my existence. I collapsed down the stairs, my heart pounding with something colder than anger. Clarity. This wasn't about a house. It was about history repeating itself. The same story of their taking, my giving, and everyone pretending it was fair. But this time I had proof. I had keys. I had walls that bore my name, not his. And I swore on every brick of that house. He would never steal it from me again. Not my home, not my future, not my voice. The following week, my brother made his move. He appeared in my office, impeccably dressed and smiling, as if he hadn't been evicted from my home by the police just days before. "Miles," he said, leaning back on the reception desk, "we need to talk privately." I led him to the meeting room, clutching the papers tightly. He didn't even wait for him to sit down before launching into his monologue. "You can't keep this place to yourself," he said, his tone calm. "It's too big and it's expensive. Mom and Dad think it should be a family home, a place we all share." I almost laughed. "Share it? You mean the way you shared it, barging in and celebrating like you owned it?" His eyes darkened. His mask slipped. "I've always been selfish. I've carried this family for years." "And you?" I interrupted, slamming the file onto the table. Inside were the deeds, the mortgages, and the police report. "Carried this family with what?" "My salary, my credit history, my sacrifices." He flinched at the sight of the police report, the ink still fresh from the officer's pen. He clenched his jaw but tried to remain composed. "If you publish this, we'll destroy ourselves. My mother's and father's reputation, my reputation, everyone's reputation. You don't want that, do you?" For the first time, I didn't hesitate. "I want the truth. And if the truth destroys you, it's your fault, not mine." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Think carefully, Miles. Families don't survive wars like this." I looked directly at him without blinking. Then maybe our family wasn't meant to survive. A heavy, sharp silence fell between us. He gathered the papers, shoved them across the table, and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. I sat there, my chest heaving, the realization sinking deeper than ever. This wasn't just about a house. It was about rewriting the roles they'd imposed on me since childhood. And for the first time, I wasn't just a minor character in my own story. I was the author, and my pen had just drawn its first real line. Whispers spread like wildfire. By Friday, my aunt called, her voice sharp and accusing. "Miles, how dare you drag your brother into police business? He told us you bought that house with his money. He says you're hiding it to deceive the family." I closed my eyes and pressed my fingers to my temples. Lies flowed easily from his lips, swallowed by desperate relatives to maintain his perfect image. "I bought that house with my savings, my overtime, and years of sacrifice," I said quietly. "He didn't pay a single dollar, and I can prove it, but the evidence didn't matter to them. They wanted a story that would keep him shining and me in the shadows." That night, I opened the folder again. I added new evidence. Screenshots of mortgage checks, wire transfers from my account, even a congratulatory letter from my loan officer. Each page was another weapon, silent but sharp. I wasn't gathering this evidence for my family anymore. I was gathering it for the law. 2 days later, I filed for a restraining order. The officer raised his eyebrows as he read my statement. "Your brother threw a party at your house before you even moved in." "Yes," I said firmly. "And he's spreading lies to cover it up. I need to document this." As I left the police station, the sunlight felt different. Not warmer, not gentler, just stronger. As if it were piercing the fog of years when the voices of my family had drowned out mine. That evening, my phone rang again. This time, a text from my brother. "If you don't stop this, you'll regret it." I stared at the screen. My heart pounded. He thought threats would scare me. He thought fear would silence me. But fear is no longer my language. Truth is, and his lies will soon crumble under its weight. Because this wasn't just a house. It was an unmistakable line between the life he tried to steal and the life that was finally mine. The protection order changed everything. For the first time, I slept through the night without being awakened by phantom footsteps or imagined knocks on the door. The house was mine, completely mine, and the silence that had once weighed heavily on me now surrounded me like a shield. But my brother hadn't disappeared. He'd changed his tactics. Online posts appeared. Carefully curated photos of his family crammed into their cramped rented apartment. Comments dripped with selflessness. Some people amass wealth while their loved ones suffer. His friends, our cousins, even distant relatives lined up in the comments to praise his sacrifice and shame my supposed greed. I saved every screenshot. The lies were flimsy, but the evidence was eternal. At work, I kept working. Longer hours, promotions on the horizon. Every dollar I earned reminded me that this house wasn't a stroke of luck, but the fruit of my labor. Meanwhile, texts began to pour in from people who had once doubted me. Quiet apologies. Hesitant questions. Doubt was beginning to gnaw at his story. One evening, as the sun dipped below the lake, I stood on my back porch, watching the water ripple and shimmer. My neighbor approached, his hands in his pockets. "You did the right thing," he said simply. "Most people would have given in to family pressure, but you drew a line." His words echoed in my ears long after he was gone. A line. Yes, that was what this house was. Not just walls and a roof, but a declaration. I would no longer be forgotten, diminished, or have anything stolen from me. Later that night, my phone rang with another message. This time it was from my father. "Your brother is hurting. Could you just give him his share? For the sake of peace." I hung up, relieved. Peace built on theft is no peace. It is surrender. I looked around at the house I had built with the sweat of my brow and my sacrifices. And I knew they could call me greedy. They could call me cruel. They could call me whatever they wanted. But they could never call my brother the owner of what was mine. Owner. My name was engraved on the deed, and so was the future. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. A violent banging on the front door one Saturday afternoon. Through the peephole I saw them all, my parents, my brother, and his wife. A united front, faces as prim and square as if they were entering a serious meeting. I opened the door but didn't step aside. What do you want? Mother's voice was pleading. Miles, dear, let's not complicate things. We just want what's fair. Fair. The word cut like a knife. Father cleared his throat. The two families decided the house should be shared. Your brother's children need space. You don't even have a family yet. It's selfish of you to keep it. Brother crossed his arms smugly. Sign half and half, and we'll give up everything. No lawyers, no trouble. I gave a cold, bitter laugh. You think this is negotiation? You broke into the house. You lied. You slandered me in front of everyone who would listen. And now you come here demanding a share. My sister-in-law scoffed. If you don't, no one will stand by you. You'll be alone. I took a step forward, gripping the door frame like a shield. Then I'll be completely alone. Because I'd rather live the truth alone than drown in your lies, surrounded by your family. I took out my phone and started recording. Their expressions changed, realizing their trap was being recorded. My brother's smile broke first, then my mother's mask slipped into panic. This will go to court, I said firmly. Every word, every demand, every threat. For a moment there was silence. The balance of power shifted. The house was no longer their stage. It was mine. Finally my father muttered, "Let's go," and turned. They followed him one by one, retreating down the hallway like shadows at sunrise. I closed the door, locked it tight, and leaned against the wood. My hands were trembling, but not from fear. Overwhelmed by their own freedom, they tried to breach my walls again, but I pushed them back, leaving only their reflections. Calm returned to the house, but this time the silence wasn't heavy. It was a deserved feeling. I wandered slowly through each room, touching the walls, the door frames, the polished surfaces. Every surface whispered the same truth. I built this. I earned this. This is mine. The court papers arrived a week later. The protection order had been extended, and the footage confirmed their fate. Their ambush was documented. Their threats were undeniable. The judge's words were decisive. This property belongs exclusively and legally to Miles Clark. No loopholes. No family involvement. Only clarity. I sat on the balcony that evening, watching the lake ignite as the sun set. My phone rang. Another message from Dad. Just 4 words. We won't bother you. And for once I believed him. But the victory wasn't in forcing them into silence. It was in finding my own silence. I lit a candle in the living room, placed it on the mantelpiece, and let its light dance across the walls. For years, I had been the giving daughter, the submissive sister, who bowed down almost to the point of breaking. But not anymore. This house wasn't just a dream home. It was my declaration, a line and a stone that no one could cross. The neighbors still wave at me when I reach the hallway. Some whisper about the scandal. Others admire my courage. None of that matters. What matters is the key that rests heavy and steady in my palm. Proof that no one, not even my family, can steal what I've fought for. I turned off the security camera that night, not out of fear of intruders, but because I finally felt safe. They had tried to turn my sanctuary into their playground, but I had erased them from my story. And in the stillness of my home, I finally felt what they could never give me, peace.
अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ मैं ये जो दिन सहाने थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं तुम्हारे बिन ये मौसम भी बड़ा बेसर्द लगता है दिल का हर एक कोना अब बहुत ही दूर भरता है अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ मैं ये जो दिन सुहाने थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं तुम्हारे बिन ये मौसम भी बड़ा सर्द लगता है दिल का हर एक कोना बहुत ही दर्द भरता है मेरे साए भी मुझसे अब जुदा होने को कहते हैं गया दर्द का असर, हंसाए मेरे तन्हा सफर, बस रह गया दर्द का असर, दर्द का असर।